JustinFREAKIN, the formidable voice of the culture.
Hey Justin, are you trolling?
Come on, man.
This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol, live! It's a freaking Sunday. I'm sorry, clinically, I'm sorry. I really wanted to be back to 5 nights a week. I really want to get back to 5 nights a week. My life is in complete disarray right now. I've come to the conclusion that in order to pull this off, I'm going to have to hustle my ass off at both my job and doing this. And I'm like, well, if I can just do both full time between now and the election, maybe we can make something happen. I'm sure other streamers are much whinier. Good evening, Clinically. Fuzzy, Warlord, welcome. We've got a lot to talk about tonight. It's a jam-packed news night. Israel rescued some hostages. Four. They rescued 4 hostages. Killed almost 300 civilians to do it. And don't really seem to care that they did. And I'm seeing a lot of people justifying all the hundreds of civilians they killed to do it. But I'm happy those 4 hostages are back home with their family. I've seen him described as a centrist, but he is not a centrist. His name is Benny Gantz. He is still a far-right lunatic, but he's less far-right than Benjamin Netanyahu. Gantz has resigned from the war cabinet in Israel. We got big election news. The European Union held elections tonight. Not good if you're a fan of center-left politics. I'll go ahead and warn you about that. Now, what was funny to me, though, is that apparently because of the resounding loss suffered by President Macron in France, he has decided to dissolve Parliament and call a snap election. This is a very common thing in European parliamentary countries, right? Not anything absurd. He's dissolving Parliament. They're calling a new election 2 years early. Or 3 years early. I think it was 2027 was when they had to call a parliamentary election. So that the people can, who are clearly upset about the government, re-elect a new government or elect a new government. But I saw a far-right MAGA influencer make it seem like Macron was doing something unheard of by dissolving Parliament. And I laughed my ass off. These people have no clue how anything works. The headline says colony mad at Biden. George Clooney. It's George Clooney. my Word document corrected Clooney to colony. It's like, which colony is mad at Biden? Or one of our many territories? One of the 13 colonies? Shelly, good evening. Sparkles. You want wrestling tonight? We're not talking about wrestling tonight. We're talking about basketball. We're going to talk about basketball tonight. Apparently, well, I guess it's tangentially related to wrestling because Pat McAfee is a part-time wrestler, part-time wrestling announcer, and Pat McAfee apparently called Caitlin Clark a white bitch. Now, I don't think he meant anything by it. I think he was like quoting one of the other players or some shit. We'll watch the clip. You can see what you think about it. McAfee has apologized. Apparently went to Raw like a couple days later and called somebody else a white bitch. But hey, who am I to talk? Apparently I employ a lot of slurs. Here is your meme of the day. Shut down asylum and deport everyone. Top picture is Trump. Some picture is Biden and his counter policy, which is shut down asylum and deport everyone. Heart emoji, pride flag emoji with his pronouns. Speaking of pronouns, we're going to be talking about a she. See, exactly. They're different. No, really. I mean, these jokes are funny, but people actually believe that there is no difference between the two parties. And there couldn't be more. Now, both parties are bought and paid for by corporate interests. Now, don't get me wrong. There is some truth to the idea that both are neoliberal corporatist parties. However, Biden's FTC, Biden's NLRB, better than any president ever in history. So I'll take it. It's something at least. I'm not high enough for this shit. I touched on it last week. We talked about Jennifer Lopez canceling her tour. I think I mentioned the Black Keys canceling their tour. A lot of artists are reworking their tours for the summer or canceling them outright because of a myriad of factors. One, ticket prices are too goddamn high because Ticketmaster and Live Nation are a monopoly. Also because the cost of touring is so strenuous on artists. So it's hard for especially smaller artists to be able to tour and make a profit. Oh, I didn't introduce the Miss Maryland. I was making the pronoun joke and then got sidetracked. Miss Maryland. The newly crowned Miss Maryland is causing MAGA World to have a fucking meltdown because she's trans. And not only is she trans, she's incredibly hot. And her husband is a Marine and is the picture of the most masculine, manly man that's ever manned. And MAGA just cannot wrap their head around that. Speaking of MAGA, Donald Trump brought everybody out into the desert earlier today in scorching heat to give a speech in Nevada. Says he won't ban TikTok. He also gave us a little hint at who his vice presidential pick might be. Somebody who I think it probably won't be is Hunter Biden. The defense apparently set to rest in the Hunter Biden gun charge trial taking place this week. Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs now under investigation. The GOP, the Pennsylvania House GOP, booed when two of the cops that defended the Capitol on January 6th made an appearance in front of the State House. Got all kinds of crime stories for you tonight. A police sergeant apparently involved in a murder-suicide in Georgia. It was yet again just another day. Her name is Bailey Ann Kennedy. Bailey Ann Kennedy. I think I saved the picture. Yeah, here we go. There's your picture. Now, yeah, I personally don't exactly find them attractive. Like, that's not my kind of guy. She's pretty attractive. Not my type of dude, but if you are one of those MAGA types that are concerned about masculine, manly men, does it get more masculine, manly man than that dude right there? Look at that jawline. Look at that fucking jawline. I'm just saying, the MAGA world having a meltdown. But what else is new? What else is new? They are the most sensitive snowflakes on the fucking planet. Where'd my lighter go? I'm not high enough for this shit. Fire resist. Good evening. I think he's looking at his hot ass wife and being like, "Rrr." Well, I don't know. It could be an overbite. Who am I to judge people by their teeth? Not anyone. I assure you. Oh my God. I'm just pointing out how it's making MAGA heads explode. Dude might be a good guy, might not. I don't know. He's married to the new Miss Maryland, though. Of course, the right thinks it's an unfair advantage for men to participate in beauty pageants. Because, you know, they're stronger or something. I don't know. Helps them in the swimsuit competition. Yeah, clinically, he does kind of look like Dolph Lundgren. Libertad. Also, Dolph Lundgren, super fucking cool. One of my best friends clinically was a Marine. He was an MP in the Marines. And yeah, like, he basically did it to get out of his situation. And very much thinks what he was doing over there was fucked up. Very good guy. You guys know him as Puzzle Bitch. Apparently going to the beach this week, and there's been like 3 shark attacks at the beach he's going to. Dolph is indeed a literal, is it a rocket scientist, or is it he's a physicist or some shit like that? He's got like a fucking PhD in the shit too, or he might be a chemist. It's some science shit that I don't know nothing about. Which I guess an astrophysicist is indeed a rocket scientist. Also, he seems like a cool guy, and you know, amazing performance. Rocky IV is one of my favorites. If he dies, he dies. I fucking love that shit. People like Rocky III. I like Rocky IV. I can see how people think it jumped the shark, though. We're going to talk about the casual cigarette killer. I have no idea what this story is. I just know that's what they're calling this dude. The casual cigarette killer. There was a car-to-car BB gun shooting out in Cali. We're going to hear from the mom of the young boy who was forced to run on a treadmill and died. Later, his father convicted last week or week before last. Get this. This is a story of a human trafficker out of Denver. He was offered a plea deal of 40 years. And he turned it down. I'm guessing he wishes he hadn't have turned that plea deal down, because he is now, instead of 40 years, he's facing like 487 years. Also, like, what is up with Twitter? There were a bunch of people who were celebrating Larry Nassar, the dude that was like the doctor on the Olympic gym team or whatever, and he was abusing student athletes. He was sent to prison and is apparently having to suck dick to stay alive or some shit, according to some kind of, you know, probably unfounded reports, but it's also possible. And there were many people on Twitter celebrating it, you know, on the left. And there were like right-wingers that were like, well, then you don't believe in rehabilitative justice, blah, 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 blah. Like, how can you cheer this on? I'm like, fucking serial sexual abuser getting his comeuppance is absolutely something to cheer on. That's not hypocrisy in any way. There's a difference between believing in rehabilitative justice for people who are like selling drugs as opposed to like someone who was raping kids. But what do I know? A crossing guard was giving out e-cigs and pot to students. Where were these crossing guards when I was in school? A bride-to-be flew off the back of a truck the day before her wedding. And in Jackson, Wyoming, I'm going to show you some wild footage of where there ain't no road there anymore. This gigantic landslide happened. There ain't no road there anymore. All that and a lot freaking more tonight on the Troll Patrol Live. Good evening. Welcome. Anybody sneak in here that I didn't say hey to? Buzzy, did I give you a shout out? I like how clinically you were like perfectly on time. I was sitting here just getting ready to hit the start button. You're like, make with the news, Gimp. Like, okay. Here you go. News it is. In case anybody didn't see the meme of the day before we move on, I'm going to get a little high. And then we're going to talk about foreign affairs. That's what we're going to start off tonight with. There is a guy, apparently a Destiny fan, that has been like trolling my channel, trolling my Twitter since the whole Destiny debate bullshit happened. It's like rhetorically defective or something like that. And it's weird because he's like talking about how I get no views, but my channel blows his out of the water. Like he's got like 200 subscribers. Yeah, he gets like 100 views on it. He kept like showing like my live streams. I'm like, those are live streams most people are watching on Twitch, right? You're ignoring all the YouTube videos that have tens of thousands of views on them. The one that has 5 million views for sure, but like, hey, it's a Bubble Guppies video. Rhetorically defective, where are you at, my friend? You had some shit you wanted to say to me. I'm like, come by the live stream. You can say whatever you want. I want to hear your gripes. If you are watching this and you are like a JustinFREAKIN hater, cool. I'm down with it. If you're going to comment on my YouTube, though, be constructive with. Don't just tell me I'm stupid or I'm spouting cancer or whatever you said. Be constructive with your criticism so that I can learn and grow. Maybe win you over as a viewer. Magnanimous Muffins over here. Ah, shit, Shelly. What was that, like 2 weeks ago? I was on that panel on Wick TV. I do suck. Yeah, fucking Libertad. I get my profile on Facebook says I get 30 views on YouTube. I'm kind of a big deal. It cracks me. Wick TV. I re-uploaded it. It's in the it's in the like the Troll Patrol replays. Cause like I couldn't do a simulcast. So once I got off the stream, I downloaded Wick's video and then chopped it up. So it's like it's the complete video. Wick. Cool Wick. Oh man, fucking he is stupid. And like I got after the whole Destiny panel bullshit. And like it is 2 hours of nonsense, Shelly. Maybe fast forward to the end where we start taking questions from people. I had fun doing that. I wanted to take more questions. And that woman came in and she clearly had a chip on her shoulder about me. And she was talking, what was it, some kind of therapy shit. And I'm like, I don't really know much about mental health or therapy. If you need therapy, I'm for it. Like, but I'm not really familiar with, and like just completely shut her down. Okay, like I don't know anything about this, and that's why I apologized at the end of it, because like clearly he wanted like Destiny hate watchers to come on and be like, Destiny, you did this, and this. Why answer for this. I don't know who the fuck the dude is. My first impression of him was that he was on speed. And still curiouser, she's like, just admit it. You came on, you were wanting to throw him off his game. You were wanting to take a low blow at him. And I'm like, no, you know me so well. I wish I was thoughtful enough to like try to throw somebody off their game or something. I don't think that fast on my feet. No way am I smart enough to pull that off. I just saw the motherfucker was on speed and was like, "Hey, Destiny, are you on speed?" It's not accusations. Apparently, he absolutely is on speed. Now, apparently, he has said that it is for, ADHD. It's prescribed ADHD medicine, but it don't make you act like you're on speed when you legitimately have ADHD. Quesadilla, good evening. Might as well vote for Trump. Nothing fucking matters. Curiouser keeps saying I'm going right wing. Sorry, it's past 8:20. I have not gotten to the news yet. Let's do that. One more hit. No, if somebody is like attention deficit hyperactive, legitimately has those symptoms, the ADHD meds will fucking help you focus. And some dude came to my YouTube was like, "You're on speed." And I'm like, "No, I do downers. Fucking, what are you talking about?" That's what Destiny's like, on another plane of existence, going blah, 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 blah. And I was over here taking bong rips like, dude. we were like driving two different speeds on the highway there. Life is a highway. Oh, that lady that popped in was like talking about people's behaviors can change. I didn't get the, like, I thought she was trying to like, which I also don't remember exactly what it was about, because it was like that whole night was just wild. It's kind of a blur to me. But like, she asked something, cognitive therapy or something like that, and I was like, I have no idea. No, Quesadilla. They were not equal. They were not equal at all. There was a very big difference between the Biden part of the meme. Biden had heart emoji, pride flag, and his pronouns. Flash, good evening. So, big difference between the two. On the issue of immigration specifically, we're only talking about immigration. Cock and ball torture. Well, let's hope that none of the hostages taken by Hamas in October 6th or 7th, October 7th, were subjected to any cock and ball torture, unless they're into it. If they're into it, then who am I to judge?
You live in sexual anarchy?
What a wild segue. 4 of those hostages back with their families tonight after Israel was able to, apparently with the help of the U.S., rescue.
There is joy and relief across Israel tonight. 4 hostages who were kidnapped by Hamas 245 days ago are now free. This is the moment they return home, raising their hands in celebration. They were then quickly reunited with family. One of the hostages, Noah Argamani, seared into the global consciousness by this image. That's her there, being kidnapped by motorcycle. Now, there's this image. Her and her dad, together again, embracing. The daring rescue operation played out in broad daylight. The Israeli military releasing these images. And while the mission was a success, it came at a heavy price, with authorities in Gaza saying more than 150 were killed as part of.
That number has doubled, or almost doubled, as of tonight. We'll get into that here in a second.
Of the operation. And 120 Israelis are still being held hostage. We have 2 reports tonight. We begin with Raf Sanchez in Israel.
Her screams were heard around the world. Noah Argamani, hands outstretched in terror before disappearing into Gaza. Tonight, 245 long days later, Noah safe and smiling. Telling Israel's president, "I'm so happy to be here." She and 3 other hostages, Almog Merjan, Shlomi Ziv, and Andrei Kozlov, in good health after they were rescued by Israeli special forces in a daylight raid in central Gaza.
This operation required ingenuity and courage of the highest degree.
Commandos storming 2 civilian apartments, finding Noah in one, the men in the other, radioing, "We have the diamonds," when the rescue was complete. A helicopter waiting for Noah on the beach in northern Gaza, ready to fly her home to safety and into the embrace of her father Yaakov, celebrating his birthday with one arm around his only child, the other over one of her rescuers. We first met Yaakov on October 8th. His world crumbling 24 hours after his daughter's kidnapping. Tonight, he tells us, "I'm feeling wonderful." Noah's friends at her side.
She's amazing, she's strong, she's laughing and smiling, and
What was the first thing you said to her?
just a big hug, and so glad that she's here.
Almog all smiles as he hugs friends and relatives, then unable to hold back the tears.
Whoa.
While Andre stunned to see the Prime Minister. And Shlomi speaking to his wife for the first time in 8 months. In Tel Aviv, this lifeguard announcing the news of the rescue to a cheering beach. But in Gaza tonight, searing grief. The health ministry saying at least 210 people killed by Israeli forces during the raid, many of them women and children. This woman says she lost 2 cousins. They didn't commit any sins, she says. Israel's military says it called in targeted strikes to cover the commandos' retreat. And joy in Israel tinged with sadness as 120 other hostages remain in captivity, including Noah's boyfriend Avi Natan, who was kidnapped alongside her on October 7th, while her mother Leora is dying of brain cancer. But tonight, her final wish to see her daughter again fulfilled.
And Raf joins us now from Tel Aviv. Raf, what does this rescue operation mean for the 120 hostages still being held?
Jose, Israel's military is acknowledging it won't be able to rescue all of the remaining hostages, while Hamas is saying today's raid will have a, quote, negative impact on those still in captivity. Jose.
Thanks for watching. Stay
Shut up, Lester.
Breaking news and top stories.
I did not need you at that moment. Hundreds killed in order to rescue 4. And Israel totally standing behind that. Anonymously, good evening. Israel Defense Forces spokesman grilled on Palestinian civilian deaths during the hostage raid. An Israel Defense Forces rescue mission recovered 4 hostages from Hamas custody on Saturday, but killed hundreds of Palestinians. It says dozens, right? But killed hundreds. I'll get you an updated tally here. We're going to hear from the IDF spokesperson first.
And Colonel, part of this mission were the airstrikes. We saw buildings destroyed in a civilian area in broad daylight. There were people on the street.
And according to the report that we just heard, those strikes were simply to cover the escape. Cover the escape. Just to make sure there was a distraction, so that the forces and the hostages they rescued were able to get away. They killed hundreds of civilians.
During this attack through the air, did you factor in the loss of so many Palestinians in this operation?
So we don't know how many casualties were caused in the strike, in the release and rescue operation.
At least 250.
Cautious at accepting any figures and numbers that Hamas are putting out.
But even the Israelis, Hamas is putting out 274. But even the Israelis, another spokesman from the IDF said there were fewer than 100. That's a significant amount of casualties. Did they come from those airstrikes in broad daylight?
Martha, every civilian life lost in this war is a tragedy. Every civilian life lost in this war is a result of how Hamas has operated. Let's think about, just for a moment, where they were holding.
So at least 274 at this moment. That's the latest number that I could find.
The hostages within civilian houses, within people's apartments. In the same apartment they were being held were the families that own the apartments. This exemplifies specifically how Hamas are operating. And indeed, when we extracted and snatched the hostages, Noah Argamani, Almog Meir, Andrei Kozlov, and Shlomi Ziv, when we extracted them out, the forces came under extensive attack in an attempt to kill both them and the hostages.
And is that the reason for the airstrikes? Tell me why those airstrikes were necessary, why buildings were destroyed in that attack.
The forces came under fire from a 360-degree threat. RPGs, AK-47s, explosive devices on the way, mortar rounds. It was and is.
Into Godzilla.
And so civilians in that is the tragedy of civilians being caught up in this is precisely because of how Hamas is battling us on the battleground. Our responsibility, our first and foremost responsibility.
Have you guys ever seen that episode? It's my favorite episode of South Park. It's the gay fish episode. Jimmy comes up with this joke, and Cartman is in the room with him. And Cartman's asking for 50% of the joke. And everyone knows, Cartman didn't even write 50% of the joke, right? But every time Cartman retells the story, it gets more and more outlandish. Because, there was a spider that Jimmy's mom, smacked on the and then it becomes, giant spiders. And then it's an army of Jew bots. By the end of it, that Cartman has to fight off. I feel like that's what the IDF spokesman is doing here. Every time he retells that story, and there were rockets, and there were grenades, and we had tanks on every side.
Is to rescue the hostages, to bring them home, to create a better security situation for Israelis, and I would say for Palestinians alike. Hamas have to go. Hamas can't be trusted with the powers of government because that is what they will do. They will build.
Well, Fuzzy, you bring up that point. When we saw the first hostages released back months ago, back at the end of October or the beginning of November, that old lady was friends with the hostage taker, and they were so nice. She was so grateful to him and shit. So clearly, they're not trying to harm the hostages. It doesn't seem like they were just had that woman chained up and raping her every day, the way that, pro-Zionist media depicts Palestinians, or Hamas specifically, in the media.
A terrorist army. They will infiltrate into Israel and abduct partygoers from the Nova Party and hold them hostage in places like Nusirat, in apartment buildings.
Again, Colonel, we are all grateful the hostages are safe, but just one final question. Would you carry out a similar rescue mission to get the other 116 hostages, no matter the cost to civilians in Gaza?
There can be a rescue mission like what happened yesterday, but there could also be negotiations that create the opportunity. Our role is to create the conditions either way, that Hamas realize that they should give back the hostages.
I believe there's a deal on the table, sir.
We would not have to be at war at all with Hamas. And the war can be over today if Hamas lets the hostages free. Is that too much to ask?
Why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself? Meanwhile, at least some people in Israel are upset about the things that are going on in their name. DJ Dub, good evening. Now, once again, I condemn Hamas.
He condemn.
And I can't imagine what it's like to be those families that are reunited. I am happy for them. I don't want to seem like I'm being cynical towards the plot. Like, I want to see everybody coexist in peace. I don't want to see the IDF murder people. I don't want to see Hamas murder people. I don't want to have to get up here and try to justify anybody's actions. It's all horrendous. I condemn it all.
He condemn.
Glad to be joined by former War Cabinet member Benny Gantz, who apparently condemns Israel's actions.
Thanks for having us in. I'm Jessica Moore. Benny Gantz cited frustrations with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, claiming he is mismanaging the war. Gantz's resignation comes after Israel rescued 4 hostages in Gaza, an operation that killed more than 200 Palestinians, according to Hamas. CBS 2's Lisa Rosner joins us now in studio with the very latest. Lisa?
Well, Jessica, for Israel, this was the most successful operation in the 8-month war, but Palestinians say it was a day of horror. That war cabinet member had been planning to step down, but reportedly waited a day to not take away attention from the hostages that were rescued.
Israeli centrist Minister Benny Gantz announced his resignation from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's emergency government Sunday. But the move does not immediately pose a threat to Netanyahu, who still controls a majority coalition in parliament. Gantz said in part Netanyahu was making empty promises and the country needs to take a different direction, as he expects the fighting to continue for years to come. It comes one day after Israel's attack on the Nuseirat refugee camp in broad daylight. An IDF spokesperson says intelligence determined the hostages were being held in 2 apartments about 200 meters away from each other. New footage from the IDF shows the moment hostages Noah Argamani, Almog Mer, Andrei Kozlov, and Shlomi Ziv were rescued. Troops are on the beach escorting hostages as a helicopter flies over. Video of their homecoming to a hospital in Israel shows emotional family members as they reunited for the first time in 245 days.
I'll do whatever it takes to get them all back home. Hamas is committing war crimes every day, including the holding of these hostages.
Hamas says more than 2.
You know who else is committing war crimes?
The operation. A member of the IDF was also killed during the rescue. This video shows what Nuseirat looks like now. This witness says he doesn't want aid. He wants the war to stop. He says, quote, bombardment and firing were from all directions. I am 32 years old. I have never imagined to live a moment like this, end quote.
We have asked Israel to take steps to be more precise and targeted in its military operations. But there is only one answer to all of this, and it's the answer I keep coming back to, which is a ceasefire and hostage deal that would end the suffering, end the conflict, end the war, and bring all of the hostages home.
He says mediators Egypt and Qatar have not received word from Hamas on a proposed ceasefire deal. It's not clear how these rescue efforts will impact that, but the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken returns to the Middle East next week, hoping to seek a breakthrough. Jessica.
All right. Thank you so much, Lisa. And stay with CBS 2 for the latest developments in the Israel.
Was that pier even operational? Were they ever even able to use it once before it got shut down again? Yesterday, the White House, surrounded by protesters, pro-Palestinian protesters letting their voice be heard. I saw like the Libertarian Party like tweeted like, this is more effective than campus protests, and like I kind of agree, but like the campus protests are about getting the universities to divest. If you're wanting the university to divest from Israel, then like protesting at the White House isn't what you want to do. But I do encourage White House protest.
Palestinian solidarity protesters have gathered outside the White House in Washington, D.C. Thousands are demanding an immediate ceasefire and an end to the siege of Gaza. Protesters plan to hold a 2-mile-long red banner to represent what they are calling the People's Red Line. Heidi Zoe Castro joins me now live from the protest site in Washington, D.C. Take us with you, Heidi. What's going on around you?
Layla, there's so much going on around me. I'm surrounded by a few thousand protesters who are from here in Washington as well as from across the country. They've been planning to come here today to unfurl this symbolic red line that is now surrounding the White House. It actually stretches some 3+ kilometers, and you can see the people wearing red as well in symbolism of the red line that they say that President Joe Biden of the United States has put repeatedly on Israel, not to invade Rafah, not to incur more civilian losses among Palestinians. And yet they say again and again that red line has been allowed to be crossed. And I actually want to bring one of our guests. This is Sammy. Very nice to meet you, Sammy Al-Kafi. You came from New York City, third time here protesting. Why continue when so far Joe Biden has not budged on this?
We can't stop. We got to just keep coming out till they stop the war on Gaza. There's no way to stop. We just got to keep doing what we're doing every day.
Hell of a beard, my friend.
Describe what's happening here today, what you hope to be communicating to the White House behind us.
For him to stop the war. That's what we're here for. ASAP, as soon as possible.
Yeah, you've seen the images we all have of the suffering. How does that impact you personally?
Listen, I got my own kids. I can't describe the feeling, you know, having to lose somebody from your family. That's all I can say.
Damn, got him tore up.
I'm sorry for it.
Oh, not at all.
It's just you're feeling your emotions. You can't hold it sometimes, you know. So.
I've seen this a lot of emotion coming not just from you, but from so many protesters, and particularly just today, reports of now 200+ civilians killed in Gaza, and yet President Biden, when speaking on this earlier in the day, he congratulated Israel for its successful, he said, operation in getting back those captives. He didn't mention the loss of life in Gaza. How do you respond to that?
President Biden don't want to look bad in the face of Israel. You understand? He can't, because they fundraise his elections. You know, they provide funds for him to go out and people to vote for him. At the same time, I don't think
AIPAC does.
The generation out here will vote for him. My vote would not be for him for sure.
What do you want him to do specifically? You said you want him to stop the war. What can the U.S. do?
U.S. is the one that gave Israel the green light to go in Gaza. So they have the power to do the same thing and stop the war if they really want to. You understand? But they just, I guess, it's a game that they playing. You know, they blaming each other. You know, America say, okay, stop the war. Then Israel still continues the war. So it's like they're doing the opposite of what he says. But behind closed door, I think they're all on the same page.
And you said you brought your wife and your children here today. This is a moment, a pivotal moment in history. What do you hope they take away from this?
Listen, I mean, I brought my kids to see what life is all about and the struggle that everybody got to go through every day. You know, and this is reality. You know, it's not Hollywood. This is real thing that's happening right now in the world. You know, where children are dying, and they need to see that. You know, they probably not see it here in America, but outside America.
I'll vote for somebody with compassion.
It happens all the time, all over the world.
And to not look away. Thank you so much. And there you have it. This is the same sentiment that I've been hearing over and over again, not only from Sammy, but also from younger voters, from older voters, from all walks of life, all trying to communicate this message to the Joe Biden White House that the U.S. must be more forceful in having Israel stop its genocide in Gaza.
Heidi, a very emotive issue there. Thank you so much for bringing us that. I greatly appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, Heidi. Good job. I won't yell at you and tell you to shut up. I believe EU elections is probably going to take us a little too long for me to get through it before the commercial break. So, I don't want to have to do this. I don't want to have to, make you guys sit through commercials. I don't want to have to be like, give me money. Yeah. But, it's the game. I got to play it or some shit. I hate it. I play all the commercials 3 minutes at once, get them all out of the way. Still can't figure out how to do it on YouTube and play them all there at once, but nobody's really watching on YouTube right now, so. More people go back and watch the show afterwards on YouTube, and that's totally understandable because Twitch is a much better platform for the live experience. When we come back, we're going to talk about far-out gains in the European elections. We're going to talk about Modi winning re-election in India. Then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about our own strong man here in the U.S. Donald Trump had a rally out in Nevada today, and his fans were there to worship him. Literally there to worship him. We might have a hint about who his VP pick is going to be. We'll give you an update on the Hunter Biden trial going on currently. The governor of Arizona is under investigation. We got all kinds of crime stories. Bullshit at the end of the show, like Miss Maryland being a trans woman, Pat McAfee calling Caitlin Clark a bitch. Lot of shit. I'm gonna hit the commercial break for the people on Twitch. We'll do the 3 minutes. Go get you a pee, refill your drink, refill your bong, and when you come back, we'll get right back into the news. Bonus for those of you who are subbed, you're gonna get to see this my Twitter feed here, cause this guy's killing me. He's like he's been riding my dick for weeks now. Why do I suppose my engagement is so poor? It's better than your engagement. Rhetorically defective, who no one has ever fucking liked or commented on anything you've ever shared. Oh, I'm sorry. He got 2 hearts on that one. On his little libs of TikTok. It's probably like porn bots or something. Like, I really triggered him. He's been all over my YouTube. Like fucking re, and I don't know what it is that he has an issue with about it. Do you want me to go? Let's see if I can find. I don't like other people's opinions seeping into my own. Yes. Oh, I can't see all. Can I not see all the replies? Oh, I might have to go to the actual video. So a lot of people accuse me of deleting comments, but like that's just simply not true. I even like people. Fucking what the fuck? Oh yeah, it doesn't show everything. I'm on the Opera browser. It doesn't show because you gotta go like show all comments in order to see everything. He screenshotted to try to make fun of me, but more people are watching me than him. Come on, rhetorically, are you watching right now? Why don't you want to come on here and tell me face to face what the fucking issue is you have with me? You keep telling me I'm furious and it's hysterical and I can't take a joke. I can't understand what it is you think I'm furious about. I find you amusing. Why do you want to ride my nuts, friend? See, when I do this, when I troll other people, I'm looking for attention. And when they give it to me, if they have a platform and they'll have me on, I go on. But here's the thing, are you wanting my attention? Why won't you call in? Why won't you hop on the Discord? I sent you the links. You've got something to say, and I want to hear it. I want to hear what your issue is with me. I think you came along during the whole Destiny thing. Yeah, I can't see the beginning of this conversation to tell you exactly what he said. But like everything after that is just, I got you so mad. Calm down. Calm the fuck down. And it's like, brother, aren't you the triggered one here? I am laughing at you. So, hey friend, if you wanna stop by, you say I've got no viewers, you can come talk to them. But here's the thing is, like, people obsess about how many views I get. I've gone over this so many times. Like, if I wanted, like, I am a real broadcaster. I have done this for over 2 decades. Like, it's 25 years next year. I have been on radio. I've been on television. I've done film work. I earn a living sitting here in my studio making video for people, doing voiceover work. This is just my hobby. This is the show I've always wanted to do, where I smoke pot and did I not even hit the ads? It still says incoming ad break. My apologies. My God. Wait, I know what a chalupa is. I don't know what a chupa is. So sorry if you're now getting ads on Twitch. I'm a pro streamer. So I don't know, like, I don't give a shit how many people watch. I do a show for me, not for... I mean, yeah, sure, I want an audience. That would be cool, but, like, I'm not out here to make money on YouTube and shit. If it happens as a result of the things I'm doing, that's fucking cool. But, like, I'd be doing... It's telling me ad stored again. What is up with the ads on Twitch? I have no idea. I give up. I'm gonna stop. It says incoming ad break in 14 minutes. I just hit the fucking ads, did I not? If you wanted to make money on YouTube, you wouldn't do politics. You wouldn't cuss all the time. You wouldn't smoke pot. You need advertiser-friendly, generic content that appeals to as many people as possible. And that's not what I do. I'm doing an extremely niche show for a niche audience. I just gotta, and like, maybe one of these days we'll have a few thousand people watching, but I gotta find my people. I gotta find the people that want this kind of content. I don't know. Rhetorically, please, come on. Drop on in. Question marks. Good to see you, my friend. Thank you. I like to think it's quality over quantity. I try to give you a good show. I try to inform you on what's going on in the world. We find out what that news be doing. Let me take a quick break. Let me go piss in Dan Crenshaw's eye pussy and refill my drink, and I'll be right back. Hi, I'm JustinFREAKIN. I'm a leftist broadcaster and comedian, not liberal, leftist. And despite what you may have heard from right-wing propaganda, George Soros isn't handing out Soros bucks and funding people like me. There are no Koch brothers, Mercers, or any number of right-wing think tanks funding content on the left side of the spectrum the way they fund people like Ben Shapiro, Dave Rubin, and Dennis Prager. And YouTube doesn't monetize videos that are controversial or deal with politics unless you're someone like Steven Crowder. So this is an ultimatum. Become a patron. Support my Patreon, where I'm going to become a right-winger and get some of that easy money. You know for a fact that I could be bigger than Charlie Kirk or Jesse Lee Peterson.
Amazing!
All I have to do is talk about how I used to be an SJW snowflake, but the left went too far with their cultural Marxism, and Republicans are stupid enough to buy it, even though this video exists. And you know I'm right, so give me your money or I'm selling you out. I'm surprised I didn't still have a drop up. There's a way to fix that, and I just haven't thought to do it. I'm sorry about the ads on Twitch if you end up getting them or whatever. I tried. I'm not high enough for this shit. People over in Europe might be high, though. What the fuck is up with people voting for these far-right parties in the EU elections? Far-right gains in EU elections deal defeats to France's Macron and Germany's Scholz. Sorry, I tried to say it German. Maybe it's probably like a Schloss, since it's German. Is that word chutzpah, Flash? Is that word chutzpah? I didn't know it was spelled with a C. I've heard it pronounced, but never seen it spelled out. Far-right parties made such big gains at the European Union parliamentary elections that they dealt stunning defeats to two of the bloc's most important leaders, French President Emmanuel Macron and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. In France, the National Rally Party of Marine Le Pen dominated. We're going to end up seeing her as the Prime Minister or the President of France, aren't we? The National Rally Party of Marine Le Pen dominated the polls to such an extent that Macron immediately dissolved the national parliament and called for new elections. We'll get into that in a second. In Germany, Scholz suffered such an ignominious fate that his long-established Social Democrat Party fell behind the extreme right Alternative for Germany, which surged into second place. God. Adding insult to injury, the National Rally's league candidate Jordan Bardella, all of 28 years old, immediately took on a presidential tone with his victory speech in Paris, opening with "My dear compatriots," and adding, "The French people have given their verdict and it's final." The 4-day polls in the 27 EU countries were the world's second biggest exercise in democracy behind India's recent election. We'll talk about that one in a second. At the end, the rise of the far right was even more stunning than many analysts predicted. The French National Rally stood at just over 30%, or about twice as much as Macron's pro-European centrist Renew party that is projected to reach around 15%. In Germany, the most populous nation in the 27-member bloc, projections indicated that the AfD overcame a string of scandals involving its top candidate to rise to 16.5%, up from 11% in 2019. In comparison, the combined result for the three parties in the German governing coalition barely topped 30%. Overall, across the EU, two mainstream and pro-European groups, the Christian Democrats and the Socialists, remained the dominant forces. The gains of the far right came at the expense of the Greens, who were expected to lose about 20 seats and fall back to 6th position in the legislature. For decades, the European Union, which has its roots in the defeat of Nazi Germany and fascist Italy, confined the hard right to the political fringes. With its strong showing in these elections, the far right could now become a major player in policies ranging from migration to security and climate. What a bleak position we're in right now. I skipped over a lot of the German and French details because we're going to go into those specifically here. Macron dissolving parliament, which to all you MAGA folk out there doesn't actually mean he's taking over the government or anything. Saw some people really flipping out about that.
French President Emmanuel Macron has just called snap elections for his country after suffering a resounding defeat in the European election. Addressing his country, Macron said the results of the EU vote for his government were grim and could not be ignored. His coalition came in second, well behind Marine Le Pen's far-right National Rally, which is on course for nearly a third of the vote. The first round of voting in France in these snap elections will be held on June 30th. All right, let's go now to our correspondent, Sonia Fondekar. She is following events for us from...
I'm assuming that this is fueled by the immigrant situation in these countries. I mean, it has to be, right?
Paris. Sonia, the attention now definitely on France.
Yes, clinically.
Macron has announced fresh elections. Talk to me about this. I mean, this is a political earthquake tonight.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a political bombshell that has landed, in the aftermath of this very chaotic European election. Now, President Macron, of course, was reacting there to projected results in France, showing that the far-right national rally led by Marine Le Pen won this election hands down, scoring a record 31% of the vote. That's more than double than that of Macron's centrist Renaissance party. So it's really, they came in at second place at about 15%. So this is really
Westerv, what's up, my friend?
Macron's party, but it's really
you say your name?
a surprise because it kind of reflects what the opinion polls here have been saying for weeks. Now, as you said, Macron made a short address to announce that he was dissolving the parliament. He spoke of the rise of the far right and the EU skepticism. He said that the outcome of the EU elections is not a good result for parties who defend Europe. And the decision to dissolve the National Assembly has already met with some reaction here. French media have been showing some footage of his supporters in absolute shock and disbelief when he made this announcement. And on the contrary, we've seen supporters of Marine Le Pen celebrating this, calling for dissolution, at an electoral event where Marine Le Pen is addressing tonight in Paris.
And what does this all mean for Marine Le Pen's far-right National Rally Party, Sonia? And I ask, could we be talking in July? Could we be talking about a?
It's just the neoliberals siding with the fascists instead of governing with the progressives, siding with the fascists in order to protect the capitalist system. Same thing in every country.
Possible, Madam President.
All the Western industrialized countries.
Well, I think for Marine Le Pen, this is obviously a huge victory. She is somebody who has managed to rebrand herself, essentially, as a mainstream figure. She has managed to tone down, detoxify, if you like, the more radical aspects of her party, the kind of racism and anti-Semitism her party was known for. And for months, the far-right National Rally has been led by the lead candidate, Jordan Bardella. He's a 28-year-old, hugely popular French politician. He's seen here as the kind of new face of the far-right. And for months, they kind of dominated the opinion polls. They hammered away at domestic issues like crime and immigration. They turned this vote into something of a referendum on President Macron, who remains hugely unpopular here. And I think this victory for Le Pen certainly has implications for France, because this vote is widely seen as a barometer of the national mood ahead of the presidential elections in 2027, where Marine Le Pen is running for the presidency. It'll be her fourth bid for power. And her hope, of course, is that this strong showing will boost her own chances and her ambitions to finally get into the Elysee.
And so I just want to ask you about the timing of all.
She's going to be the president, isn't she?
It seems like a lot of political uncertainty, and it's coming right before Paris is about to host the Olympics.
Well, for weeks we've heard
the Olympics again. Didn't we just do that? Didn't we just do that like last year? Didn't we do it the year before too? Like, weren't they delayed because of COVID or something? We've done it like the past 2 years straight. Oh my God, I hate the Olympics. The Olympics is nothing but a collection of sports that no one would pay to watch individually. And it's a drag on the economies of the countries that host it. Not only is it a drag on the economies of the countries that host it, it's exploitative to the workers that put it on, the people that have to build the stadiums. Ugh. Don't even get me started on the Olympics. Mox, good evening.
Jordan Bardella, the lead candidate of the far-right National Rally, saying that he would call for the dissolution of the parliament if Macron suffered a crushing defeat.
Minty, good evening.
To do this, and he's also not constitutionally obliged to do this. So in that sense, it has come as a big.
Yes, it's apparently the thing that we learned from the Beijing Olympics. It was like the one that had the COVID protocols and shit. Like, we learned that apparently all the athletes fuck a lot.
surprise to people. I think the fundamental problem here is that Macron is presiding over a minority government and he emerges ever more weakened now.
Okay, our correspondent Sonia Falnikar with the latest from Paris tonight. Sonia, thank you.
Oh, Tokyo. I don't know anything about the Olympics, so I don't know. It was somewhere over there. Because, like, we tangentially cover it because news happens while we're doing the Troll Patrol and the Olympics are going on. I'm just always tired of it. Username 1 was taken. No, it wasn't lax COVID. No, it was they were trying to keep all the athletes in a bubble or whatever, and they kept fucking each other. They were like sneaking out and sneaking around the restrictions to fuck each other. Which, hey, nothing wrong with that.
You live in sexual anarchy?
I don't know where it was news to me that Paris is hosting. Is it this summer? Are we getting ready to have those? Like in a month or two? It's usually like the end of July, beginning of August, isn't it? Fucking hate that shit. Which, I mean, now that TV is the way it is, like, everybody's got their own streaming services, you're in your bubble. It's not like when I was a kid, the Olympics would come on, it would preempt like your favorite shows for the entire month or something. It was like you really hated the Olympics when you were a kid. Now it doesn't really affect me other than, we'll be doing some Olympic stories. I wonder what kind of mental Olympics. No, that didn't work out, did it? I was trying to segue back into the news. That one wasn't good. I'll see myself out. Kind of mental gymnastics are the people of Germany doing to justify electing far-right politicians. Twitch just keeps it looks like it just keeps saying that ads are going to play every 2 minutes. Sorry, I hope ads aren't playing for you.
Letzten Mal. AfD.
Over to Germany. That would have been a much better line clinically. We had a bumpy start and then really caught up in the final spurt. This is Alice Weidel, the AfD party leader. That is the far-right party in Germany. Alice Weidel. We had a bumpy start and then really caught up in the final spurt. After all the prophecies of doom, after the barrage of the last few weeks, we are the second strongest force. I'm telling you, it's still going up tonight. It's still going up.
Das geht noch nach oben.
Und die großen Krokodilszenen fallen.
They look like a fun bunch, don't they? There's your far right in Germany. So exciting. Before we finish up with foreign affairs, let's talk about the far right in India. Narendra Modi winning an historic third term. However, his party did not do as well as expected. He is going to have a smaller majority in parliament. Is Modi being sworn in again in New Delhi? I, Narendra Damodar Modi, swear in the name of God that I will bear truth, faith, and allegiance to India's constitution as established by law.
सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा।
course, Modi winning re-election 2-3 days ago. Third term as the, I believe it's president, right? Maybe prime minister. I think it's president. India. Nope, prime minister. I'm sorry. The prime minister of India for his third term had to form a coalition with other parties in order to get him over the line. Let's talk about our own right-wing strongman here in the United States, shall we? Donald Trump holding a rally in Nevada earlier today where supporters were there to worship him. No, really, that's what they said.
What more can be said than thank God we're here in Sunset Park to worship and bring back the greatest president we've ever known in our generation.
I don't even feel like it was any kind of like a slip or anything. I feel like that was like his prepared remarks. He rehearsed that. He does kind of look like Ted DiBiase.
What more can be said than thank God we're here in Sunset Park to worship and bring back the greatest president we've ever known in our generation.
Hey, he's proud of himself. Might I point out, it's on a Sunday. It is a Sunday. Supposedly religious right-wingers on a Sunday, they're there to worship. Worship. Trump at the rally earlier today. I have to pull it down here for a second because they got the Lee Greenwood. There's Trump walking out. Sweltering heat.
We don't have enough time. And now, by the way, it's 110, but it doesn't feel it to me, right? So we'll stay out here for a little while. If anybody gets tired, you'll let me know. And if anybody goes down, if you start going down, we have people, they'll pick you up right away. They'll throw water.
What?
You know, they were so worried. Everybody was so worried yesterday about you. And they never mentioned me. I'm up here sweating like a dog. Secret Service said, we have to make sure everyone's safe. I said, what about me? Oh, we never thought of that. They don't think about me. I'm working my ass off. I'm working hard. This is hard work. If we win Nevada, we win the whole thing. We win the whole thing.
I don't think Nevada puts him over. Like, he needs Nevada, Georgia, Arizona, and like one of the other states. He would need like Wisconsin. So if we win Nevada, we've won it. I don't think he needs Nevada, Georgia, Arizona. Like, it's kind of an uphill climb for him to pull off a victory, given, Biden's victory, the states that Biden carried in 2020. Trump has to flip like 4 of those to win. Maybe 3 if it's because Pennsylvania has more electoral. I'd have to look at the numbers. But like Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Wisconsin might give it to him, and he can lose Nevada. I don't think the Republicans are going to win Nevada though.
I mean, I'm looking back there as far as the eye can see. Get out, vote. We're going to make America great again, greater than ever before, and we're going to do it fast. Thank you. God bless you. God bless you, everybody.
God bless you, as they're there to worship Donald Trump. Oh, and I love elections so much, and it sucks that the 2 elections I've gotten to do while doing a political talk show have been these 2 clusterfucks. You guys remember when Charlie Kirk wanted to ban TikTok? Pepperidge Farm remembers.
We're on TikTok. What is your message to younger voters right now?
Well, the big message is vote for Trump. We're going to make our country greater than ever before. We had something going that was incredible and just horrible what's happened. This is the worst president in history, Joe Biden. And you look at it, even as a representative, he goes over to France and something happened that was not good. I don't know what it is. But we're going to make our country greater than ever before.
What happened?
And I appreciate all your support.
Thank you.
Charlie.
And you'll never ban TikTok. That's for sure.
I will never ban TikTok.
Thank you.
I bet he bans TikTok if he gets reelected. But goes into effect like next year. And I've even been like making jokes about that with clients, you know, talking about like where we're going to put up their media and stuff. I'll be like, and TikTok if we still have it. No. Did Trump give us a hint about who we might pick for vice president?
And in the Republican ring of politics, former President Donald Trump hinting at his announcement for vice president. Multiple news organizations, including ABC and NPR, say potential running mates include Senator Tim Scott, Senator Marco Rubio, and others in Trump's circle of supporters. But Trump says he won't make an official announcement until the Republican National Convention next.
He won't make a decision until they kind of cut her off there. He won't make it. It'll be before the Republican National Convention. I would assume it'd be like the week or two before. So we're probably about a month away. The debate's the end of this month, isn't it? If he was smart, he'd pick Hunter Biden. You need a dude with a big dick. And Hunter Biden, he's packing heat. And apparently that's what he's on trial for, packing heat, when he apparently was a crackhead.
I want to go to John Yoo, the former Deputy Assistant Attorney General, UC Berkeley Law School professor, former Justice Thomas Law Clerk, great on all of this stuff. So put yourself in representing, a client like Hunter Biden. Would you have him testify, John?
First, I make sure I charge him a lot of money. I mean, that's a hard...
Also, apparently the testimony from Hunter's daughter didn't go well. She got on the stand to be like a character witness, and the prosecution had a bunch of text messages that kind of disputed her assertion that her dad was always trying to get clean and she never saw him fucked up or anything.
Job.
Very hard job.
Abby Lowy. Abby Law was a great trial lawyer, great criminal defense lawyer. I think Hunter, probably like Donald Trump in a weird parallel, probably wants to testify too and waive his right against self-incrimination. People should remember he has a constitutional right to be silent because it's up to the prosecution to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Hunter did it. Now, the problem for Hunter is that the crime is actually just reflected on him checking off certain documents on a form. It's really a paper case. So he would want to try to provide personal testimony that he wasn't using drugs or didn't think he was addicted at the time he signed that form. The problem is once you show up and you testify, you're under oath, prosecutors are going to go after him and cross-exam to try to get him to show that he's committing perjury. And I don't think you want Hunter Biden to be on the stand talking about all the details of his life under oath, where there's so many documents, so many reports out there that already have the facts of this time in his life on the public record.
Couldn't he deny that he didn't think he was an addict when he clearly was an addict and say, so technically I didn't lie. I'm not trying to justify it. But you meet many addicts like that who say, oh, no, I don't have a problem.
Yeah.
That seems to be part
Voodoo was a good point.
Defense right now is to show, well, how he might not actually have been using drugs at this time, so maybe he thought he wasn't addicted. It doesn't sound like a very compelling defense. Remember that the prosecution played parts of Hunter Biden's book, read in his own voice about how he was addicted, during this exact time period. So I actually think, you could try to get Hunter up there and try to get him to make that claim, but it's going to sound like perjury to a jury. I think actually, just like with Donald Trump, I think the best course here for Hunter is not to appear, let it go to the jury, let it go quickly, The defense has not really got a lot of strong arguments. I think they're really making a plea for sympathy to the jury. So why put him on if it could make his case worse?
Yep. All it takes is one, as you often remind me. You mentioned the jury, and I'm thinking of the Trump jury and this report that Judge Juan Merchan, who's been presiding over that case, well, he apparently wrote to prosecutors and Donald Trump's attorneys yesterday, I believe, about this comment.
Oh, cool. I'm glad they got into this.
On the court's Facebook page. We can't verify this. The comment was left by a user claiming to be a cousin of one of the jurors in the case.
He has apparently come out and said he is a shit poster and he knows nothing about the case and he is not the cousin of anybody. And that was when I first saw this. The right-wing media sphere went goddamn nuts on Friday, thinking like mistrial, 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 mistrial. Because what happened was this shit poster posted that he was the cousin of somebody on the jury and they were going to convict Trump tomorrow, the day before the verdict came down. It almost didn't even happen that day, remember? They had said that they were going to send the jury home. So like this idea that like, oh, this dude had some kind of foresight or anything. His bio literally said shit poster.
Where the juror must have been telling this friend, this is where it gets kind of weird, that Donald Trump was going to be convicted.
Anything with Facebook is going to be weird.
Well, that's why I only raise it because it got quite the kerfuffle going yesterday. What do you make of that, and whether that is grounds for sort of upending this case? Some have even said, well, there you go, it's a mistrial. What do you say?
It wouldn't be an automatic mistrial. It also could be completely made up and false. But I think this is going to be another test of this judge and whether, again, he's in over his head or whether he can really accommodate the demands of this being a presidential candidate and a former president. I think that behooves him to at least make sure there's some kind of investigation into these kinds of comments on the web to track down to see whether they're true or not. And if they are true, then you're right, Neil. I think you could have some kind of hearing, some kind of examination to see if there is a mistrial, because if someone's communicating with a juror during deliberations, then of course you want to know, was that juror being pressured in any way? Was there any kind of interference with the jury's deliberations? It doesn't sound like it quite yet, but you got to have an investigation to run down the facts to find out.
You know, John, I raised this with you when I
This
found
is
out
still going?
Not this particular incident. When jurors are free to go home, and in a city like this leaves.
Shut up, Neil Cavuto. I'm done with this. It was only a 5-minute clip. It felt like so long. Oh, 5 minutes and 53 seconds. It was a 6-minute clip. My apologies. The governor of Arizona, the former attorney general of the state, now the governor, Katie Hobbs, under investigation. The current attorney general opening an investigation into the former attorney general.
Reports say local group home Sunshine Residential Homes gave around $400,000 to the governor and state Democratic Party, including $100,000 to the governor's inaugural fund in 2022. Later, DCS awarded Sunshine Home a nearly 60% daily rate increase. The report also claims other child care providers were denied increases. Last month, we reported the Department of Child Safety denied contracts of 16 group home providers, which will force approximately 200 kids to find new homes.
Uprooting them all of abrupt and moving them to other places is going to cause either that trauma to come back or create new trauma.
This provider did not want to be identified as they appeal their denied contract, but say they were floored when they learned of the allegations between Governor Hobbs and Sunshine Residential Homes because of DCS's public stance of placing as few children as possible in group home settings.
It goes against everything that the department is saying.
Following the report, Republican State Senator TJ Shope asked Attorney General Chris Mace and County Attorney Rachel Mitchell to investigate these allegations.
They're going to go ahead and take a look at this and determine whether or not there's a there, aside from the legislative work that would go on in the Health Committee, looking into the contracts, making sure that state law actually is being adhered to.
Both offices responded they would be opening an investigation. But today, May sent a letter to the county attorney essentially saying the AG's office will be taking the lead in
Probably a state contract, Flash.
The county attorney's office tells us tonight they are reviewing the AG's letter. Providers like L House, who were denied contracts, say the process needs to be fixed.
I do want the truth, and I think many of the other providers want that too, but we do need a better system.
And Governor Hobbs' office says that this is a partisan attack that will end with her administration being cleared of any wrongdoing. We also reached out to both Sunshine Residential Homes and DCS for comment, but have not heard back. For now, reporting in the newsroom, Zach Perlutsky for Arizona's Family.
That is the exact way all state politics operate. Like, it's all pay for play. It's all, you get into office and you grease the wheels of your friends and shit. And I'm not justifying it. But like, it's just the way they do the game. I want to take all money out of politics. It's one of the reasons why I'm such a staunch leftist. But like, it's not like Republicans didn't do that fucking shit when they were in office, I'm not exactly. It's in the preliminary stages of the investigation, so we'll find out more about what's going on with Governor Hobbs. Hopefully, I had really liked Governor Hobbs, so I she's kind of cute, kind of let down, but also she seemed like a neo-lib anyway. But fucking, it's not like a leftist is going to win the governorship in Arizona. Let's go to the Pennsylvania State House. Think Thursday of last week, 3 days ago, maybe Friday of last week. They had a couple of the officers from January 6th present during their proceedings. Watch what happens.
Sergeant Gonell and Officer Dunn, please stand. Welcome to the floor of the House.
You're right, Flash. The jeers not as pronounced as I thought they were. They were at the very beginning. They get drowned out by the cheers, but you can hear them right at the front.
Sergeant Gonell and Officer Dunn, please stand. Welcome to the floor of the House.
That is a minority, apparently, of the Pennsylvania GOP jeering at the January 6th Capitol Police as they appeared. That was the only video I could find. Visit the Pennsylvania House floor by two former police officers who helped protect the U.S. Capitol drew boos and walkouts by some Republicans. Witnesses said the appearance Wednesday by former U.S. Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn and his ex-boss, former Sergeant Aguilo Gonell, triggered a distinctively negative response from some Republicans, with someone even shouting that they were cowards. GOP members' shameful behavior was unbecoming of our institution for any guest, let alone two men responsible for defending our democracy during a dark day in our nation's history, according to the House Speaker, Joanna McClinton. The Republicans' disrespect, lack of patriotism, and even common decency epitomizes the poor behavior that so many in the MAGA movement have adopted. You're here. Right-wingers. are morons. Oh, I need to record something for Media Winch, so I'm gonna do it for you guys right now. Just hold on a second. We'll get back to that, and we'll find out what the news be doing. You live in sexual anarchy. Live in sexual anarchy.
You live in sexual anarchy?
She said she wanted me saying it, not just my graphic. Now I gotta remember to cut it out and send it to her. I hope that works for her purposes. I do not know what she's using it for. ACAB, you say? I can be more convincing than that. I was trying to... She said she wanted me to sound like Charlie Kirk. Now, granted, I'm not hearing Kirk when I do this. But, like, I'm not doing the same cadence and everything.
You live in sexual anarchy?
You live in sexual anarchy. You live in sexual anarchy. You live in sexual anarchy. There was a Shatner version for you. These pretzels are making me thirsty. Good evening, Curiouser. Good evening. I don't believe I told you hey. Someone in the chat said ACAB when we were talking about the January 6th Capitol Police. Probably going to definitely be saying ACAB after this story. A police sergeant in Fort Valley, Georgia, apparently involved in a murder-suicide.
At 6, the suspect in an apparent murder-suicide in DeKalb County Friday night has been identified as a member of the Fort Valley Police Department. DeKalb County Police say the incident started as an argument. The officers say that Reserve Sergeant Michael Durio shot and killed Christian Chestnut. Officers say Durio was later found in the car, a crashed car near Candler Road and Interstate 20 with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Fort Valley police say Durio was off duty and operating his own personal vehicle at the time of the shooting.
So lost his temper, shot somebody, and then went and took his own life. I guess he did us all a favor, right? Gun violence in this country. What? Just another day. One dead, multiple people injured after a shooting in Napa, California, Napa County, California.
Developing news now out of Napa County. At least one person is dead and several others are injured after a shooting and a stabbing overnight at Lake Berryessa.
Shooting and stabbing.
A popular recreation spot in the North Bay, and this location in particular is known for swimming and fishing spots. The Napa County Sheriff's Office says this all happened around 5:30 last night when deputies were called about a fight near the Oak Shore Day Use area. Shots were fired during the fight and one man was killed.
RP's advising there's an active fight going on between two groups of subjects, approximately 20 people involved, fighting and stopping, then fighting again.
Hey, somebody's bound to have videoed.
We're getting reports of possible gunshots. Additional units to assist. 3 shots went off. Windows are being broken.
The Napa County Sheriff's Office says there are also several stabbing victims. We know at least 2 of them were airlifted to local hospitals. It's unclear their condition this morning, and officials have not said exactly how many people were stabbed.
Somebody literally brought a knife to a gunfight. I have no idea what this story is about. I just know that the headline is Casual Cigarette Killer. Baltimore police seek casual cigarette killer. Is he killing people with cigarettes? Is he casually killing people and then smoking a cigarette? Is he casually killing them as he smokes a cigarette? I have many questions.
Meanwhile, the search is on for a man connected to several violent crimes across Baltimore, including 2 homicides. Fox 45's Keith Daniels has more on what some are calling him and where that investigation stands.
Well, the deadly violence broke out behind these doors, and tonight, the search for the shooter, a suspect some are calling the casual cigarettes killer.
But why?
Good look at these photos. Baltimore police say they need help identifying and locating this man. Investigators are calling him a person of interest.
So apparently he's casually smoking a cigarette while he's killing people. Gotta admit, he kind of looks badass with it in his mouth.
Killer. Take a good look at these photos. Baltimore police say they need help identifying and locating this man. Investigators are calling him a person of interest in connection with 2 homicides and 1 non-fatal shooting that happened within hours of each other June 2nd.
Hey, how you doing?
One of those homicides just before 4 o'clock that morning at the Exxon gas station on West Mulberry Street near North Green Street. A man shot several times, dead. The suspect caught on camera.
Can I get 32 on 7?
The man seen walking with a gun in one hand and with what looks like a cigarette or something else hanging from his mouth. That image to one of the clerks
could be a sucker.
Casual for a suspected killer on a mission.
He was so cool.
He what?
He looked so cool.
Cool.
He looked like that. He looked so casual, like smoking cigarette and shooting on guy.
The clerk, who does not want to be identified, looking at photos of the suspect, including this one.
He looks so cool.
Pointing a gun, aiming at the victim, never dropping what's hanging from his mouth before killing a man.
We never understand like what happened. First they were talking, and after that, it's gonna happen here.
At first, he was talking to a man.
Yeah.
And then what?
And then he shot him.
Police say after that shooting, at about 9 that morning, a man was approached in the area of Garrison Boulevard and Liberty Heights. He turned, walked away, then heard a gunshot, then realized he'd been hit, but survived. Then later, 5 p.m., another man, gunned down, later at the hospital, pronounced dead. 3 shootings, 2 of them fatal. 1 person of interest. At the Exxon, the security guard, who was not there that morning,
it seemed like a person to me that had no care in the world.
Commenting on the suspect's photo and the deadly shooting that happened at the gas station.
Because a gas station should be a safe haven. That's what I think. Because this is a place of business. You're supposed to come here, get gas, snacks, whatever, and go about your business. This.
It's like base when you're playing tag.
Recognize the man in those images, you're urged to call police. Remember, you can remain anonymous by calling Metro Crime Stoppers, the number on your screen. Reporting.
Don't narc him out, but it is 8667 lockup. That's a hilarious number. It's not as good as, you know, the Colin Oates number, which was like 769 Oates.
Tonight, Keith Daniels.
Or 76 Oates or something like that.
I'm Kai Jack. Video to watch.
Shut up, Kai Jackson.
To subscribe to our channel.
Nobody asked you shit. First time I've ever seen Kai Jackson. Go back out to the West Coast. It seemed things were popping on the West Coast this weekend. There was a car-to-car BB gun shootout on the 10 freeway.
In Pomona, that is where a driver was injured in a car-to-car BB gun shooting on the eastbound 10 freeway. It took place around 11 o'clock just west of the 605. The victim suffered
just another day.
from all of that shattered glass. He was able to exit at Fairplex Drive, where a CHP officer was then able to render aid. The suspect's vehicle was located in San Dimas, and a male and female were then taken into custody. CHP officers also recovered a BB gun inside of their car.
Well, wasn't it as exciting as I thought it would be? These next couple are kind of, they're kind of rough. So if you've got a weak constitution. Go ahead and hit the content warning. We did the story of the father who was convicted. I think it was last week. It might have been week before last. He put his kid on a treadmill. I don't know why YouTube is giving me such a hard time. I'm YouTube Premium now, you assholes. The mom of the boy that was killed by his father making him run on a treadmill is now speaking out.
It was shocking video. A father forcing his young son to run on a treadmill. He was so abusive to the 6-year-old. The boy died just days later. The father has just been found guilty of manslaughter. Now the boy's heartbroken mother is speaking with our Ann Mercogliano in this exclusive interview.
It's video that shocked the nation. A 6-year-old forced to run on a treadmill at high speeds. The little boy keeps falling off and his dad keeps ordering him back on. He falls hard 6 times. 12 days later, prosecutors say Corey Michelow died from chronic abuse.
I just miss him. And sometimes I just want to say sorry, but I know I tried.
Now Corey's mom, Brianna, is speaking to Inside Edition. She says her little boy told her about being forced to run on the treadmill.
Because that happened a few times. Like, that video wasn't the first time it happened.
Last week, Corey's father, Christopher Greger, was found guilty of aggravated manslaughter and child endangerment. Brianna, who testified against him at the trial, says she suspected Corey was being mistreated by his father.
What did you see? He had bruises, like, you know, if someone were to grab you, he had them on his arms, like fingerprint bruises. Wow. He had bruises on his forehead. He's had black eyes. I would ask him how he got it, and he was so afraid. He most of the time he wouldn't tell me what happened, and whatever lie his father told him to say is what he would say to me.
I spoke with her at her mother's house, where Corey spent lots of time.
Here we are in Corey's grandmother's home in Englishtown, New Jersey. You could see his pictures hang on the wall here. Corey's mother says the abuse captured on the gym's surveillance camera was turned over to authorities a week before he died. She believes if they would have done something, he would still be alive.
She and Greger were never married. In fact, she says they only had sex once. She says he despised her for a number of reasons and took it out on the boy.
I think he hated me because I didn't get an abortion. He didn't want to be a dad. I think it kind of was like forced on him by his family.
She blames not just Christopher Greger for Corey's death, but she also blames the system that she says ignored her pleas for help.
I hate him, and he took everything from me.
Did your son ever ask you to save him?
Yes, he did. And he asked me why no one was helping. So he just gave up.
Christopher Greger is appealing the guilty verdict.
How you gonna appeal that, motherfucker? They've got you dead to rights. It's on fucking video. Appeal on what grounds, you piece of shit? Take your medicine, you monster. Speaking of monsters taking their medicines. Speaking of monsters taking their medicine, this is yet another horrendous story. Man charged with human trafficking in Denver was offered a plea deal of 40 years. He did not take it, and I bet he regrets that now.
Developing now, an incredibly lengthy sentence handed down in the last hour and a half in multiple human trafficking cases.
The victims of this man, Robert Hawkins, detailing the horror they went through before a judge delivered that sentence that'll take multiple lifetimes to fulfill. Fox 31's Nicole Fierro joins us live at the courthouse with this historic sentence. Nicole.
Yeah, 448 years. Robert Hawkins is now facing, and the head prosecutor says that she believes this is the longest human trafficking sentence in U.S. history. The longest one before this, also out of Colorado, that was 401 years. News victims tell us they're happy that they faced their fears, they testified and spoke to be a part of this history. Now, 448 years came out of more than a dozen counts against Hawkins in 3 cases that covered 7 victims, 4 adult women, 2 juvenile girls, and 1 man. We heard from them, the 13-year-old girl who said Hawkins was 40 when she was manipulated by him. She is 17 today. The lifelong sentence these victims say they face every day after the trauma of sex trafficking and human trafficking under Hawkins. Now, with each count, prosecution read a victim's name it was connected to. Prosecution also pointed to a note in the pre-sentencing investigation report. It did say between 1997 and 2003, Hawkins was arrested, cited, or detained for 57 offenses in 20-plus cases. They were all dismissed. They also said he got probation in 2012 when charged with pimping of a child.
He had somebody on the take.
16-year-old in that case was too afraid to speak. Now, we didn't hear from Hawkins himself. His attorney said he advised him not to speak because they plan to appeal. His attorney also said the defense attorney said that victims were sanitized and made to be pure victims in this trial, and that the truth is a lot more grayer. Now let's hear from one of the victims herself and a juror in this case that went 15 days long. The juror is going to speak first.
The weight of it, knowing that so many people had experienced such trauma and over such long periods of time, it was really just difficult to hear those testimonies and those stories.
It feels great. I just want other women, children, men, kids. It's not just women, and it's not just men that sex traffic people. It's also women, and I just want whoever is a victim to come forward, and it's okay. It's okay to come forward and get justice that they deserve.
That victim tells us the first time in years tonight she believes she is going to sleep well tonight, that it was scary seeing him in court again. Now, also, this ended right around 4 o'clock, immediately after we spoke to the juror, the victim. Then we went right into a press conference with the DA, the FBI, Denver police. They say that they hope this historical sentence sends a message that human trafficking will not be tolerated in this community and will be aggressively prosecuted. We'll hear a lot more from them coming up tonight. Reporting live here in Denver, Nicole Fierro, Fox 31.
Thank you, Nicole. Fuck that dude. What are you gonna appeal on? Just take your medicine. This woman, I might have sympathy for. Because she might have been out here doing the Lord's work and got locked up for no reason. Now, you may say she was endangering children, but she could have also just been helping them children have a good time. She was accused of giving e-cigarettes and Mary Jane to middle school students while she was a crossing guard.
A crossing guard in Delaware County has been arrested. 26-year-old Kiara Lee is charged with giving marijuana and to young students.
Whoa! I did not. Is she a student there, or is she a little person? She's adorable. Look at her.
Has been arrested. 26-year-old Kiara Lee is charged with giving marijuana and e-cigarettes to young students at Penwood Middle School. It is Wednesday night. Shari's off. Sarah Bloomquist is joining us, and the big story in Action News is the arrest of that crossing guard in Darby.
I don't understand how she could be a crossing guard, because, cars wouldn't be able to see her. I'd figure you'd want somebody tall with an orange vest on.
Delaware County.
Authorities say along with giving kids marijuana, she was also contacting at least one student via text messages.
Action News reporter John Paul live in media tonight with the full story. John.
Yeah, Rick, Sarah, we talked to the Delaware District Attorney today, the Delaware County District Attorney here today, and he outlined all of those charges. We also know that crossing guard worked at a rec center with kids near the police department, and tonight police say that she gave drugs to a 14-year-old girl. Our cameras were there last night as police led 26-year-old Kiara Lee to a waiting van, her feet shackled. She faces a list of charges, including possession of drugs and corruption of minors. Investigators say she used her position as a crossing guard at an intersection near Penwoods Middle School to get close to kids and gave at least one child edible marijuana.
She's supposed to be, as you said, a crossing guard protecting children. Instead, she's using that position to get to know children and then sharing harmful products.
The Delaware...
I find this hard. Like, they're making her sound like some predator. I just assume she befriended the children and gave them some weed. Not that, like... I don't see how anyone sets out like, I'm gonna go give children weed. Aha! Warlord, please don't clip that. I just don't understand how that's a mentality somebody has. I want to go out here and see if I can give away drugs.
Our county district attorney says they are looking to see if more kids got drugs from Lee. In the affidavit obtained by Action News, at least 4 kids were interviewed by police.
You can imagine a child who's taken edible marijuana and is sitting in a classroom is not exactly paying attention, becoming an A student.
Giggling their asses off.
Lee gave a vape to the child as well, and even texted with her about her experience after taking marijuana. We know that Lee also worked at a rec center nearby and was known in the community.
I do know exactly who you're talking about, and I always see her on that side of McDade and Summit.
We talked to one mom.
I'm sure there's not many little people in your town.
Today, she was surprised by what the crossing guard was accused of doing.
My reaction to it is another reason why I'm scared for my son to go here, and I'm glad that he graduated.
And back out here live now.
You're scared because a midget might give your kid weed?
She had so much access to children, having worked at that nearby rec center. So, Sarah, tonight they're asking parents to call them if they might have any information about other victims who may be out there. We're live tonight in media. John Paul, Channel 6 Action News. Sarah?
Okay, John, thanks for the update.
The anchor's name was George Ringo. Not high enough for this shit. Twitch says you might be getting an ad, so if you get an ad, you get an ad. I'm sorry if I'll try to wait on you. We'll get high here because I'm not high enough for this. We'll play ads. I don't. He was adorable. Adorable. Ah, fuck. This next story is going to be great. I can't wait to play this one for you guys. I hope there's video. This is one of those like, I hope there is video of this happening. Feel sorry for the woman. Hope there's video of it happening. To all of you that are subbed and everything, love you guys. You're awesome. Also, like, I don't care if like people aren't subbed. I still love them too. Is this whole capitalistic incentive just fucks everybody up? I don't want to have people be in tears. Not tears, tiers. I don't want tiered friends lists. I like you guys better because you pay. Nonsense. And that's why I will never, rhetorically defective if you're still watching, that's why I'm never going to succeed at the YouTube game or anything. Because I feel icky asking people for money. I feel icky asking to, you sub to my channel. Be sure to give me a like, share, and follow. But also, that shit works. Because even I'll be watching a fucking channel and they'll be like, be sure you're subscribed. I'm like, you know what? I've watched like 10 of this dude's videos. I don't even know if I am subscribed, to be honest with you. And I try to, pay it forward and to subscribing and liking and shit. That's the best way you can show your appreciation to content creators, other than just cash. Also, I don't want to be a content creator. I want to be a broadcaster. This is just the medium that it's happening in now. I don't want to be a streamer. I want to be a newscaster. My goal in life has been to do a Daily Show style satire news comedy show kind of deal. That's always been my thing. And unfortunately, this is not the show that's going to get picked up. Now, some media outlet, the Young Turks, can come to me and I can come up with an idea for a show on the Young Turks network that would fit. But it's not like somebody's going to come and like offer the Troll Patrol a position on XM radio. You're not ever going to listen to the Troll Patrol on the Salem Media Network or on Cumulus or iHeartRadio. That's it. Not Cumulus anymore. iHeartRadio. Unfortunately, I guess, I don't know. If I was to say, if I was to go to some other, network, they would have control over what I say, what I do. I don't like that. I don't like people having control over me. That's why I like social media. I understand that clinically. I totally get it. But like, let's face it, if I was to go to TYT, I probably wouldn't be on camera. I'd probably be a producer or a production tech. And so I've struggled with this my whole career, right? Like, my bailiwick is production. Am I decent on camera? Sure. Am I decent as a personality? Okay. Am I like spectacular as a personality? No. Am I charismatic enough to get people to just watch it? No. My production is really good. They don't really do the gruesome manhunt, cop shooting death kind of stories like I do. And I haven't really watched a lot of TYT content, but like they seem to do more culture war, fucking pop media kind of stories. But that could just be the stuff that they clip. I don't know what their actual news show is like. I used to watch John a lot more than what I do now, which as I've said before, I don't really watch any other people that are like in my lane or whatever. But like I throw out TYT just because like there's not a lot of media organizations that the Flash, I've thrown that out there that like I could totally take the banner of what the aggressive progressive and run with that. So I think that was one of the names of one of their shows that they had that Jimmy Dore used to do. Hey, there's an opening at Rising. They need a leftist on Rising now. So here, is Crystal and Sagar still pulling the numbers that they did about 3 years ago? Rising is that show on the Hill that was hosted by Robbie Suave and Brianna Joy Gray, and they fired Brianna Joy Gray Friday, I think it was, Thursday. Apparently, she gave a whole interview with a like an Israeli. I don't know if she was like a family member of a hostage or something to that effect. So she's doing this interview with a Israeli, and she's very compassionate, very kind towards her, and it was a very cordial interview. But like, if you get like right at the end of the clip, Brianna kind of like cuts her off, and it may have been like there was somebody in her ears, producer, telling her to rap, right? That they were up against a break. That would be, as a broadcaster, what I would think was going on. And it kind of looks like Brianna rolls her eyes at whatever the Israeli woman is saying. And they clipped that clip, and it went all over Twitter and everything, and apparently that's what got her fired. And I'm not even that big of a fan of Brianna Joy Gray, but like, it sucks that she's not there raising awareness about Palestine, right? Because one of the few voices in the kind of corporate media. Yeah, Mox. It was kind of like a snarky line. But like, if you watch the whole interview, especially like if you're not paying attention, if you're just like listening, Brianna didn't really do anything. And like, as I said, I'm not a fan of Brianna. Like, I've had many disagreements with her and don't really pay attention to her the way I would have, 5 or 6 years ago, coming off of her time with the Bernie campaign. But I don't think she did anything wrong in that interview. She probably shouldn't have been fired. But then again, it might be the best thing for her career, so. I'm sure we all can oscillate between having good takes and bad takes. I'm sure I do it. Yeah, she's been a very pro-Palestinian voice, and I greatly appreciate that. All right, here's one. Hopefully this is a fun story. Hopefully the woman's all right, and it's just it's a fun story that she's got to tell. A bride-to-be flies off a truck the day before a wedding trying to hold down a mattress. There's a couple in Utah.
National Secure Your Load Day. I'm Fox 13 News reporter Chris Arnold. 2 Spanish Fork newlyweds are speaking out about the importance of securing items that you're transporting after an incident that almost derailed their wedding day.
It is a really special experience.
This is Lydia and Alex Kessinger. On April 27th, shortly after saying I do.
We made it ideal, which has kind of been a theme for our relationship.
An ideal wedding day, followed by a month-long honeymoon in New Zealand. That might have not happened.
The day before our wedding, we're trying to get some final things figured out before the next day.
Things like moving a king-size mattress to their new home.
Okay, so you're rich enough to take a month-long trip to New Zealand. You've got the time off to go to New Zealand and the money to make that trip happen, but you don't have the money to hire a mover or rent a U-Haul and not have to fucking yokel it on the back of a truck.
Wasn't really thinking, just was thinking of the fastest possible way to get the mattress from A to B, which just happened to be throwing the mattress in the back and putting Lydia on top.
I honestly was like, oh yeah, I'll sit in the back. Like, that sounds great. I'll just hold the mattress down in the back of the truck.
While traveling 50 miles an hour down State Street in Provo, things changed quickly.
I remember the whole thing other than landing. I don't remember how I landed, but I flew out just screaming. And then I remember just rolling on the street.
I'm looking in my rearview mirror and I see my fiance rolling away from me. First thought was that she had died.
Luckily, outside of a trip to the hospital for some scrapes and chipped front teeth, Lydia was okay. On Friday, the Kessingers...
Some bungee cords!
As part of National Secure Your Load Day.
She was okay.
If you make a decision not to tie down your cargo, you could be putting lives at risk.
The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says road debris causes around 17,000 injuries and kills 730 people each year. 80% of those incidents involve unsecured loads from passenger vehicles. Well, the Utah Department of Public Safety says there have been 3,962 unsecured load-related crashes since 2019, including 233 so far this year. And all that has led to 16 fatalities.
The average day, a trooper responds to 70 incidents per day, where we average a year 25,000 incidents of debris out on the roadways.
Already this fiscal year, we've spent $2.9 million. We have another month left, and that is about a 25% increase over the last several years.
DPS says securing your load is quick and easy, only taking a few minutes. They say you should put lighter items under heavier ones.
I got a load for you.
Down items by using rope, netting, straps, or chains. They say add extra.
You can secure this load.
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me.
Does the fact that I matched the skin tones, took the time to make it look like it was really fucking Senator Kennedy's body, does that make it even more creepy? Instead of the head just like completely not fitting on the body?
Protection by covering the entire load with a tarp or netting. DPS says don't overload vehicles or trailers and double check to make sure the load is secure.
Now I realize that that is absolutely ridiculous to think that way. If something is in the back of a truck, you strap it down.
While the bumps and bruises made for some interesting pictures,
No broken bones or anything. It was honestly a miracle.
it didn't get in the way of this bride and groom celebration.
How exactly was she sitting in the back of the truck holding the mattress? I do not understand any way that that would be possible.
Celebrating their special day together.
A lot of people were able to overlook the stupidity and really come and support both of us in the time that we needed it.
In Taylorsville, Chris Arnold, Fox 13 News, Utah.
You think she was laying on it? Oh my God, you're probably right. So like it was probably over the back lip. And she's laying on this side, like it's up. Yep. And probably flip. Oh my God. Damn, what a tumble that would be. Speaking of tumbles, I bet the rock from this landslide took quite a tumble. This happened in Jackson, Wyoming, and this footage is incredible.
Images of a massive landslide that's cut a key highway near the popular tourist destination of Jackson, Wyoming. ABC's Alex Prochet is following this story. Good morning, Alex. Really stunning because this is such a popular destination.
There ain't no road there anymore.
Absolutely, Gio. The Wyoming Department of Transportation is calling this stretch of road on the Teton Pass. They say that it catastrophically failed. And you take a look at these images. I mean, you can see why a massive mudslide on this road collapsed part of the road Saturday following a...
Did anyone notice that the reporter is in Columbus, Ohio? I'm not that good with geography, but I'm pretty sure Ohio is not next to Montana. I mean, Wyoming. Moving to Montana soon. Is that like just the closest they could get a reporter? We've got a reporter in Columbus. That'll work.
Fail.
Just make sure he goes outside.
You take a look at these images. I mean, you can see why a massive mudslide on this road collapsed part of the road Saturday following a mudslide just a couple of miles away. Now, that road had been battered for a good portion of last week. Authorities believe cracks and a drop in the road contributed to a motorcycle crash there on Thursday. Crews came out and worked on it. But then early Friday morning, another mudslide prompted closures here. It remained closed, and good thing. Road crews saying that they were very lucky that no one was hurt and that no equipment was damaged. But this road, State Highway 22, is a critical link between small eastern Idaho towns and Jackson, Wyoming. The governor has already declared a state of emergency as state officials there call this highway a lifeline for the Teton Valley. But guys, right now, there is no telling when it will reopen.
Oh, right. And because of that.
Yeah, because I don't know how you repair that. I don't know how you shore up that hillside to where you can put a road back on it. You gotta lay concrete or something? But Ohio, Montana, what's the difference? And it was in Wyoming. Remember, I tried to get Sparkles to move with me to Wyoming. I think she's still holding out for she doesn't want to be hetero life partners with me. She wants to find a Prince Charming that'll take her away. She might have found one, but apparently he likes Taylor Swift. And telling her this morning didn't make her happy, apparently. As I understand it. I got a couple of Tay-Tay songs I like. Content warning for transphobia in this story before we get to a happy trans story, I assure you. I'm not going to do this to you during Pride Month. Surgeon Ethan Haim, who blew whistle on secret trans procedures on Texas kids. Now, I couldn't find a more reputable source than the Daily Mail for this story. I tried to find a local news site talking about this arrest, and I could not do it. The Daily Mail is actually going to go on to cite Christopher Rufo. So I assure you that everything in this story is spurious. This Texas surgeon has been charged with 4 felony counts of violating HIPAA records. He apparently is a whistleblower at a hospital. A surgeon who spoke up about the alleged secret gender-affirming procedures on minors in a Texas hospital has been charged with 4 felonies. I don't believe that that's anything. I don't believe that's true. Apparently, the hospital said they weren't giving children puberty blockers, but they were. Or some shit like that. Department of Justice has accused Dr. Ethan Haim, 33, of HIPAA violations, indicting him on 4 criminal charges, as first reported by Chris Rufo in the City Journal. HIPAA rules protect a person's protected health information. Haim responded to the charges, saying they wanted to intimidate me into silence using every technique the federal Leviathan had at their disposal, but they failed. Yeah, he seems like a giant piece of shit and looking for that sweet right-wing grift. The only way to lose is to submit to corruption. It's time to fight back harder than ever. Haim, in May of 2023, released medical files. That is a HIPAA violation. It is a HIPAA violation. Medical files. Can't do that. Those are secret. He released medical files showing that Texas Children's Hospital had provided puberty blockers and other sex change treatments to kids, even after hospital officials had said they'd stopped doing so in March of 2022. He has repeatedly said the leaked documents did not include patients' personal information. Now, I don't know how the HIPAA law is written, but I think it's, any information. It's not just like, oh, you didn't release if you release a patient's medical records, even if it doesn't have their name on it, I believe that is a HIPAA violation. Haim's lawyer, Marcella Burke, told Fox News, "My client is anxious to get to trial to get his side of the story told. I am confident this will result in the correct decision being made. I am confident this dude's probably going to jail. I was given a target letter signed by a federal prosecutor that stated I was being criminally investigated for a case regarding medical records. The prosecution says Haim is driven by a highly ideological division within the Department of Health and Human Services. Officials seek to silence whistleblowers who expose institutionalized medical corruption and the dangers of these hormone-based interventions for confused adolescent children," he said. The FBI declined to comment on the case. Daily Mail reached out to TCH, but did not immediately get a reply. Haim insists he did not break any rules, though he released private medical files that detailed trans medical procedures on children as young as 12 as puberty blockers. That's when you administer those. He says the identities of patients had been redacted. He aims to raise $500,000 cover his legal costs. I do not feel sorry for him one bit. You are a giant piece of shit. I hope you go to jail. Oh, while I'm on the subject, let's get another thing out of the way. I didn't even think about this while this is going on. This is the time that I need to specify that there is a difference between the American Academy of Pediatrics, which is a reputable organization, and the American College of Pediatricians, which is a fucking right-wing advocacy group. We need to be perfectly clear that the American College of Pediatricians, not the reputable American Academy of Pediatrics. They like to confuse people in order to, what would be the medical equivalent of stolen valor? Because that's what's going on here. This is the medical equivalent of stolen valor. Doctors urge U.S. medical groups to immediately stop transgender treatments on children. We're reading from, CatholicNews.com or some shit like that. I think this is the video I was looking for.
Doctors and medical organizations are teaming up to try and end gender surgeries for minors. The American College of Pediatricians wrote the declaration.
Just saying gender surgeries is a misnomer. Very, 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 very few children receive any kind of surgery for gender-affirming care. That's the first thing.
It calls on American medical institutions to halt, quote, current harmful protocols promoted for children and adolescents who express discomfort
with
good evening. Sex. It has been co-signed by more than a dozen organizations, including the Catholic Medical Association. And for more, we're joined now in the studio by Dr. Jill Simons, Executive Director of the American College of Pediatricians, and Mario.
Once again, American College of Pediatricians, not the, I have to keep looking it up, the American Academy of Pediatrics. What was this one? Jill Simmons? Is she even a doctor? Let's find out, shall we? I'm going to put money she's not. If this is the same Jill Simmons, apparently she is indeed a doctor. She is a professor of pediatrics and pediatric endocrinology at Vanderbilt University. So my apologies for saying that you're not a doctor.
Dickerson, executive director of the Catholic Medical.
If that's the same woman, that's not the same woman. That is not the same woman. Oh, what in the fuck? That is not the same woman, is it? As that woman right there.
Medical Association, thank you to you both for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Dr. Simmons, I want to start with you first. Why did you
Dr. Simmons
write this declaration, and why now?
Well, the American College of Pediatricians for years has been sounding the alarm about the dangers of these protocols that our medical institutions and organizations are endorsing. And recent events in the last few months, namely the leak of the WPATH files and then the release of the CAS report in England, just had
all bullshit,
overwhelming evidence that these so-called gender-affirming care treatments should not continue. And we thought that our colleagues here in the U.S. would take heed and also do the same and put a pause, but they've not. They've continued. And so we just came together as a coalition of medical doctors, organizations
who are condemned by the reputable American Academy of Pediatrics,
and said enough.
Yeah. Why do you think that's happening? I mean, why do you think this agenda is sort of still pushing forward despite medical evidence otherwise?
There's not really medical evidence.
And I don't know if I have the answer. There's probably many reasons why this is so entrenched, and doctors, smart doctors, are not listening and seeing what we're seeing and making the same conclusions. We know
could it be you're wrong?
They're afraid to speak out because they're being reprimanded or threatened, even loss of job. So we know a lot of physicians are staying silent because of that. But we're hoping that with our leadership that doctors will step out of the sidelines and speak up and say enough.
Yeah, and you had a lot of people that co-signed, a lot of organizations as well, like the Catholic Medical Organization. Tell us a little bit more.
A lot of organizations, yeah, like the not reputable Catholic Medical Association. Shot and chaser, though. Shot and chaser. It is Pride Month, after all. The new Miss Maryland is fabulous.
The first runner-up is Tara John.
All right, there she is, your new Miss Maryland USA, Bailey Ann Kennedy, getting crowned this past Saturday at Bethesda North Marriott Hotel and Conference Center. The win, history making, and that is because Bailey is the first trans woman to hold the title in Maryland. And she is joining us in studio this morning to talk about it all with her first live TV interview. Bailey, thanks so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Corey.
Absolutely. You're just telling us really a couple minutes ago, this was your first pageant. How did you do it?
Oh my God, but a lot of training help from the former Miss USA, Shandy Finnessy, and she helped me get to where I am today. So thank you, Shandy.
So take us back to that moment. You saw that video and you said, as we watched it, you blacked out. What was that moment like?
Oh my God, it's a whirlwind because I knew it was bigger than me, Corey. I knew that this is going to mean a lot for all the LGBT kids out there who might have felt different and might have feel like they don't belong in a box, like me growing up. So I hope that my win will be a delicious invitation for them to be themselves.
Delicious.
Going into a competition like this, competing with a lot of people who are very different from you, has to be scary. There have to be a lot of fears involved into a process like that. How did you overcome it and ultimately win the title?
Actually, it's not, Corey. It's actually very much about the sisterhood, empowerment. D&D have always been focused on empower women. So therefore, I felt very prepared going into it. I felt confident in my own skin at 31, competing, which is past the old age limit, which is 28. As you know, Miss Universe organization lift the age restriction now, so every woman of all ages can compete.
And what do you hope that this title will do for other LGBTQ plus people?
I just hope that it will open up some doors and open up some hearts for people to see that there are many aspects of LGBT community out there, and I hope that I can be a positive contribution to society and making a difference, like the USO program that I'm working with.
When you saw that video, is there anything that you would think that you would tell like your 10-year-old self?
Oh my God, don't give up. It's gonna happen. Because something told me that I was gonna do something about it and I'm gonna win, but I didn't know how that the Miss Universe organization would allow trans women to compete. But now they're allowing married women to compete and women of all background and all walks of life. So I would tell her to not give up on herself.
And it's beautiful. Oh, go ahead.
And keep shining.
And keep shining, yeah. And shining too with people, as you said, the people who are part of the organization, the women who are also competing, they're all supportive. So that's great to hear. Yeah. What's next going forward?
Miss USA. I'm going to Miss USA in LA, you guys.
And that is in August?
That's in August in the Biltmore.
Is that shit still going down? We've had so much controversy. We covered it not that long ago. There are investigations. There have been multiple women resign their crowns.
In LA.
All right, so we hope that we'll be able to follow that journey as you compete and maybe take home that title too.
Thank you, Corey.
Rooting for you.
Thank you.
All right, Bailey Ann, thank you.
That would really make MAGA heads explode. Now, she mentioned her work with the USO. I believe that's where she met her husband. This is one of those things. Oh, I'm thinking of Miss America. Oh, I'm sorry, clinically. Yeah, I'm not a pageant aficionado. I don't know what's going on in the world of pageantry. All I know is you need to write a song about how we don't diddle kids. We do not diddle kids. No, we don't touch them. Gotta be younger than my wife, older than my daughter. Oh. The MAGAs have been... Sorry. Sunny in Philadelphia. Love that show. The MAGAs have been losing their mind because Bailey Ann Kennedy, was that her name? Oh, fuck, I fucked it up. Bailey Ann Kennedy is married to this Marine with this fucking jawline over here. This manly man. And it's making their heads explode. I'm here for it.
I can't wait to
Tell
have
'em.
your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me.
Do I need to explain who Pat McAfee is? Does everybody know who he is? Like, even if you don't watch sports, you know who Pat... I know Pat McAfee from wrestling. He's also apparently, like, single-handedly keeping ESPN afloat. And many, many people took him to task for his comments. I think this was the end of last week, or it was back on the 3rd. About 6 days ago. It was at the beginning of last week. That if it was anybody other than Pat McAfee saying what he said on a Disney-owned property, he'd get yeeted off there right away. But he is their cash cow. So he's able to get away with a little rant like this, which apparently is kind of derogatory. He calls Caitlin Clark a white bitch, but apparently is not meaning it in a derogatory way.
The goat. Is she what? I don't know. With my eyes, I couldn't see if she's Caucasian or not. So I think what we're trying to say is what the WNBA currently has is what we like to describe as a cash cow. There is a superstar. And we're not saying that the players on the court need to act any different.
Sexist.
The athletes are going to do what athletes are going to do in any sport. And I think we're all learning that WNBA, that's old school football, baby. That is old school football. But I would like the media people that continue to say, this rookie class, this rookie class, this rookie class. Nah, just call it for what it is. There's one white bitch for the Indiana team who is a superstar. And is it because she stayed in Iowa, put an entire state on her back, took a program from nothing to a multiple-year success story? Is it because she would go on to break the entire points records in the...
It was not in the way that I thought it was. Like, I thought like he was like, I thought like she had been called that by other players and he was like quoting somebody, but apparently not. It's very quick there.
Yeah, people that continue to say, this rookie class, this rookie class, this rookie class. Nah, just call it for what it is. There's one white bitch for the Indiana team who is a superstar. And is it because she stayed in Iowa, put an entire state on her back, took a program from nothing to a multiple-year success story? Is it because she would go on to break the entire points records in the history of the NCAA? Not just the women's record by Kelsey Plum, shout out, but also Pistol Pete Maravich's, the dude's record as well. Is there a chance that people just enjoy watching her play basketball because how electrifying she is, what she did, what she stood for, how she went about going, what she went for? Maybe. But instead, we have to hear people say that we only like her because she's white. And she's the only popular because the rest of the rookie class is doing what they're doing. Well, that's a bunch of bullshit. And we think the WNBA, more specifically, their refs need to stop trying to screw her over at every single turn. What you have is somebody special. And we're lucky she's here in Indiana. And that was, guess which, WNBA rookie.
So that was Pat McAfee. He has apologized and said that he meant well. But now I kind of, here's the thing is like, I understand the other WNBA players' issue is like, why is she getting all this attention? You know, like, as I understand it, her numbers haven't been, you know, spectacular. They've been good for a rookie, especially, but they haven't been spectacular. But there's a lot of very talented women already playing in the WNBA. Now, I have seen that, like, she's taken some hits and stuff from other players on the court that haven't looked very kind. Caitlin Clark told the Indiana Fever head coach that Team USA snub woke a monster, so she's apparently going to use her snub for the Team USA to light a fire under her ass. I don't know the reason why she was snubbed from the team. I don't know what their qualifications were. It seems kind of fast. She just entered the WNBA, like 2 or 3 months ago? So it seems kind of fast for her to be put on a Olympic team, but also she was an amazing basketball player in college. So I don't know. I don't know anything about fucking sports. Here's Caitlin Clark. I think this is about all the abuse she's received on the court.
You might be aware there's been some controversy and conversation over the last few days about everything that happened in the Chicago game. Curious how much you pay attention to that, if at all, and what your thoughts are, what your take on that is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not on social media, so I don't see a lot of it, but you would be surprised. Like, I still have my TV on in my house, and, like, I'm watching sports. Like, you know, you're still aware of it, and you still see it, you know, but other than that, like, my focus is basketball. Sometimes it stinks how much, you know, the conversation is outside of basketball and not the product on the floor and the amazing players that are on the floor and how good they are for their teams and how great this season has been for women's basketball, going from college basketball to now the WNBA. Some of the crowds are, you know, unprecedented and had never been seen before. The viewership's amazing. But yeah, I mean, I try to block it out. You know, I don't have social media on my phone. Like, I don't go on it. I don't see a lot of it, you know. But I don't really think it's that different from, you know, when I was in college. Like, everybody's going to have their opinion. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. That's just what it is. And I think you just got to be focused on what's in your locker room, what's in your organization, how your teammates feel, how your coaches feel. And for me, like, that's my focus. But also, like, I have a job to do at the same time. So, you know, that's where my focus remains.
She seems cool and humble. Appreciative. Can't ask for more. Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark has reportedly been left off of Team USA's women's basketball team for the 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris. It has only provided her extra motivation. Speaking to reporters on Sunday, Fever head coach Christy Sides said that Clark had told her, "Hey coach, they woke a monster." Clark didn't need the extra motivation on Friday night when she scored 30 points in 39 minutes against the Washington Mystics. Her performance included a rookie record-tying 7 3-pointers. Well, hell yeah, go girl. It was an 85-83 win. The Fever could use more games like that from Clark, who leads all WNBA rookies with 16.8 points per game. Indiana is near the bottom of the standings with its 3-9 record and have yet to win back-to-back games this season. Clark said that I'm excited for the girls that are on the team. I know it's the most competitive team in the world, and I know it could have gone either way, me being on the team, me not being on the team. I'm excited for them. I'm going to be rooting them on to win gold. She also said she didn't feel any disappointment with what many analysts and fans are calling a snub. I think it just gives you something to work for. That's a dream. Hopefully one day I can be there. I think it's all a little motivation. So, hey, good for... Oh, was that her saying that?
Caitlin, what was your reaction when you saw the USA team yesterday, the roster come out?
Yeah, I think I'm excited for the girls that are on the team. I know it's the most competitive team in the world, and I know it could have gone either way of me being on the team, me not.
Good on her. I wish I had known that she was saying it so I didn't have to read it. The WNBA will take 3 weeks off for an Olympics break this season, and Clark said that she'll enjoy getting some time off after months of competition across college and pro levels. It seemed wild that she was coming right off of the college women's tournament, went right into the WNBA. That seemed like a very quick turnaround. At the same time, she's looking forward to having more time for her and her team to improve ahead of her rookie season's final months. So there's the actual team. Apparently some right-wingers are upset because Brittany Griner made it on, but apparently she's a really good player. And this Asia Wilson is apparently a superstar. Once again, I know nothing about sports, so fuck. But Caitlin Clark seems like a nice lady. Now, what I do know about is music. I know a lot more about music than I do sports. And musicians are having a really hard time currently. Many musicians opting to cancel or change their summer tours because of the economics.
Summer concert season is here, but not every music artist is seeing success on the road. A handful of stadium tours have been canceled or changed by big-name stars. Jennifer Lopez canceled her upcoming concert dates, saying that she wants to spend more time with her family. And the Black Keys dropped their stadium tour in favor of shows at smaller venues. So here to discuss why we're seeing this shift is...
That's because they couldn't sell out stadiums.
...is the director of the Bandier Music Business Program at Syracuse University. Thank you so much for joining us. So this is really interesting. I never really sort of clued into this trend, but then once I started to dig in further, thought, yeah, this is really happening. Is this sort of like a post-pandemic live music cooling?
Well, I think when you look at the time period immediately after the pandemic, the first year or two, there was a fever for people to get out to live shows. We're all cooped up and we missed our music.
And there was a price gouge by Ticketmaster and Live Nation.
It is still the case. If you think about the live space as a top tier, middle tier, and bottom tier, it is still very much the case that the top tier shows are still doing quite all right. First quarter, Live Nation, the biggest touring company in the world, record revenues, things like that. And that's really driven by what's happening at the top of the market. I think what we're seeing is a little bit of a softening in the middle and the bottom of the market. So if you're not that white hot artist right now, or you're not that truly iconic artist with the big catalog and a great story and everyone loves you, then yeah, I think we're seeing a little bit of softening.
So, okay, so then if you're a big artist like a Beyonce, and clearly, people spent a lot of money to see Beyonce and Taylor Swift, they were willing to fork over that money. I wonder if part of it, too, is they spent so much money last year that they're like, hold on a minute, my budget can't take this.
Yeah, that is a real theory. People will talk about the Taylor factor. That all the music fans out there, they've already spent all their money. But I think I think it.
I think there's overlap between Taylor Swift and the Black
continued to rise
Keys.
really since the pandemic. Some of that is just the overall inflation that we're all experiencing, and that's hitting fans on two levels. One, they have less money because milk, bread, and gasoline cost more, and two, concert tickets keep going up, 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 up. And I think at a certain point, fans are being they're showing a little more discretion in what they're willing to shell out these $150, $200 tickets for.
So I don't know if this is good or bad for music fans, though, because, this means that maybe there's a bit of a shift. Maybe you can see your favorite band in a smaller venue, more intimate. That's great. But if there are fewer dates, then does that mean fewer tickets and then, more competition to see your favorite band?
Well, generally, the magic of the touring industry is artists and their teams are really trying to calibrate everything perfectly so the right number of tickets are on sale. Obviously, that's very difficult math to get right, and it involves a lot of factors. Sometimes it involves ego, right? If you're an artist and 10 years ago, 5 years ago, you were touring arenas and you feel like I'm an arena artist,
Black Keys,
and the markets are not bearing that out, someone's got to have a tough conversation with you. And I think sometimes when we see a J-Lo or a Black Keys suddenly having to cancel tours, what that says to me is no one had the tough conversation. But there is, I think.
Listen, I was surprised that the Black Keys were fucking playing arenas to begin with. I would have thought a Black Keys concert were at festivals and theaters. I would have never thought they were playing arenas anyway. And fucking ckers is telling me like she saw them in an arena at fucking 2012 or 2013. And I was like, no way. Really? They were that big? I thought they were pretty niche. I used to enjoy, back when Vice News first premiered on HBO, they had like a music section. And it was like Patrick Carney, the drummer for the Black Keys, listening to all the new music that came out that week. And then like shitting all over it. And I loved that. I miss that. They started doing it with other, like for the first month or two, it was always Patrick Carney, but they started having like other artists come in, and then like other artists were like really nice and shit, and would be like complimentary, like, oh yeah, I'm digging this and shit. Patrick Carney just shit on everybody, and that's how I loved watching him do that. Here is a dog probably named after musician Ozzy Osbourne, I would assume. Ozzy was the longest resident of this shelter. Here's Ozzy getting adopted. Has a shitty song over it, unfortunately. Look how happy Ozzy is. Oh man, I love Puppy so much. He's just happy to be loose. Oh, go enjoy your forever home, buddy. You're not gonna be locked up in a fucking small room anymore. I hope you got a big yard, other puppies to play with. All the toys, sticks that your heart desires. Look, he's wagging his tail. He was just being so patient. You guys know I'm an animal lover. And yeah, I want you to give me money, you subscribe to the channel, all that shit. But really, I'd like you to give money to like your local animal shelter is probably overrun with kittens right now. Like all of them are overrun with kittens right now. And even if you can't go adopt a kitten, go donate some food. Donate, give them $10 to your local shelter. Give them a gift card to PetSmart or Amazon or something. There are many rescues who are in desperate need of financial resources and cat toys and puppy chow. You got it to give. Help these sweet babies out. If you are watching on Twitch, we're going to head over. We're going to say hey to producer Dave. What is tonight? It's the Plex Podcast. That's what's on. So, watching on Twitch, heading over to Echoplex Media. I'll be back whenever. I don't know. Who knows what's going on? You may never see me again. This may be the last Troll Patrol ever. Probably not, but who knows? Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN. We'll see you soon, probably Thursday, on the Troll Patrol.